do today is a plant dissection for the purpose of understanding pollination a little bit better. So the items that you're going to need for this activity are, you will need some tweezers of some sort, whether you like the metal ones or the plastic ones, depends on your comfort level. So find yourself some tweezers. You'll also probably want something like a magnifying glass so you can look closely at your flower parts. If you don't have one of these at home, your parents can probably get a magnifier application on their phone. So that's a good option for working at home these days. You'll probably want a piece of black paper or something dark to work on so that you don't lose your flower parts in, like, if I was working here on the carpet, I might lose them in the design of the fabric. So have something dark and solid so you can find your plant parts. And you'll want some flowers. There are a lot of different flowers out there, and some are going to be better when you get more advanced at this activity, and some are easier for a simplified version. So what I would recommend the first time you're dissecting a flower is to get something like a daffodil or a tulip, because they're very simple flowers and the parts are really big and easy to see. Okay, all we're going to do is we're actually going to take apart the flower and look at the different parts and separate them into categories. So if we're working on our tulip today, we have all of these. So we're just going to peel these off and put them in a pile. And does anyone know what these are called? These are the flower's petals. And petals are actually really important because the color and the shape of the petals attracts different insects or animal species. So it's really important. Tulips are a little unique because humans have actually bred them. There were wars over different colors and different designs in the tulip petals. So anyhow, so we have our petals. Now you can see closely, and I might use my tweezers for this. We have all these little side pieces, and so I'm going to put these in one pile. And these are what's called the stamen. And the stamen, if you look, when I dropped it here on my paper, it left a little bit of residue. It's actually the pollen, because the pollen lives on the top of the stamen. And then this middle part, this is actually the pistil. So now what we're going to do is we're going to separate our plant parts into their perfect categories. So if we look at the picture here, you can look at it closely. So we have on our diagram, we have our petals, our outside colorful part. We have the very center is the pistil, that female part. And then the side ones are our stamen. And on the top of the stamen is where we find the pollen. Yeah, this was the pistil, so this will go in the pistil category. And then we have our stamens, all of our stamens. And then we have all of our petals, and our petals will go here on this page. So now that you've done this once with a tulip, you can try it with some other different flowers. So a daffodil, because a daffodil is actually related to a tulip, it will come out with probably similar numbers, except for the petal, of course, because this petal has a fused petal with that tubular shape. But it'll probably separate out similar to this. We have hyacinths out blooming right now. Dandelions are actually pretty unique because this isn't one flower, but this is 100 different separate flowers. Each one of those little yellow things is a separate flower. So you probably, if you look very closely at that, you will find all sorts of pistils and stamens tucked in there tightly. So you'll probably need a magnifying glass for something like that. If you do a lot of this, you'll actually find that some flowers only have stamen and some flowers only have pistils, or they might come ripe at a different time. You'll also be able to see sometimes the stamens are above the pistils and sometimes the pistils are above the stamens. And that's actually really important because it'll determine whether the plant can pollinate itself or it prevents the bees from doing that. So bees are actually wonderful as pollinators because they do this necessary function for flowers kind of accidentally, because all they're doing is they're going from flower to flower to flower, collecting pollen off these stamens, and sometimes accidentally, instead of going into their little pockets that they have on their legs, it gets all over their bodies, because if you can imagine a bee running around inside the head of this daffodil, it's going to get pollen all over its body. And so accidentally what happens is it transfers some of that pollen to this pistil, and then we have a flower that's pollinated. It's really good for getting more flowers and more seeds, but also the fruit and vegetables that we eat. So thank you guys. Hope you had fun today, and be out there looking for different flowers and seeing what you can find. Thanks. Bye.